Hello, welcome to the last day of 7 days of Yin Yoga. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. So over the last 6 days, the last 6 practices, we really honed in on certain target areas of the body. Today we're going to put all of that together and we're going to get into the entire body. If you have 2 blocks, that's great. And then also a blanket or a towel, that'll make your life a lot easier. We are gonna get started laying down on our backs. So we'll make our way there now. And if you have your blocks somewhere close by, we're gonna use those shortly. So as we come to lay down, letting the arms and legs splay out, closing the eyes, noticing all points of contact of the body with the floor or the mat. Noticing the temperature of the air on your skin. Noticing how your clothes feel on your skin. And as our awareness starts to draw deep down into the body, taking notice of the breath, if the breath feels choppy or ragged, or you're only feels like you're breathing out of the top of your chest, see if you can send the breath all the way down into the belly. Just allowing the breaths to become a little bit more fluid and steady. When we take our time tuning into the breath so that we can ride this wave of breath throughout our entire practice. Allowing the breath to guide us back to the present moment. And then we'll take a big inhale together, in through the nose. Exhale, sighing out the mouth. It's so wonderful that you're here. Let's take this time to slow everything down. We'll bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet in towards our bum, and reaching over to one of our blocks. We're going to inhale to lift the pelvis, bringing the block down to the lower sacrum, the flat bone at the end of the spine. You can choose which height of the block you would prefer today. Arms just out by our sides. And then a yogi's choose your own adventure, choose your own target area. You're welcome to stay right here, where we target mainly the compression in the lower spine. Or if you want to work more into the quads and hip flexors, the legs walk out a little bit longer. Or if you want to make this more about the inner thighs or the adductors, you bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees fall out to the side. So all variations, we're compressing the lower spine, but then you can choose what part of the legs you want to target today. The real yoga begins when you listen to your own body. And then as we settle in, as we find our edge, we're just going to hang out here in quiet for roughly 3 minutes or so. The soles of the feet slowly make their way back onto the floor near the bum if they're not already there. No rush. We'll inhale to lift the pelvis, reaching under for the block. The block lands to the side, and very slow, just lowering the entire pelvis down onto the earth. I'll draw the knees in towards the body, the chest. Give yourself a hug. Just letting the knees rock side to side. And rolling over onto one side, we're going to make our way up. The top hand presses us up. We're going to come onto our knees. If you have sensitive knees, reaching for your blanket, or you could always just roll up your mat. We're going to work into the bottoms of the feet. So tucking all 10 toes under. You could start on your hands leaning forward, because this could be quite a bit of sensation right here for the bottoms of the feet. If there's any active inflammation in your toes today, you could skip this entirely and just work on getting into the neck stretches that I'm going to offer. Staying here. or sitting the weight of the pelvis back onto the heels, sitting up with a tall spine. You can let the right ear fall towards the right shoulder. This can be intensified by letting the left hand reach towards the floor. There's a thick band of connective tissue, thick band of fascia on the bottoms of the feet. The feet often get ignored. So this is a wonderful way to give the feet and the neck a little bit of love. I'll bring the head slowly back to center. Just letting the left ear drop towards the left shoulder. Right hand could reach towards the floor. And remember, you can come out of these shapes at any time. So if it becomes too much at all for the bottoms of the feet, just come out. And the head comes back to center, slowly coming back onto the hands if you're not there already. And we'll just let the tops of the feet tap a little bit on the floor. And we'll keep the blanket close by for the knees. We are going to move into a low-flying dragon or gecko. Either name works. So if you have your blanket, you could fold it up even again, bringing the weight of the left knee on the blanket. And then we'll take a big step forward with the right foot, coming down onto the hands. You could always use your blocks and bring the earth up to you. You could have the blocks underneath the hands. And you could always start to walk the right foot out a little bit, letting the knee fall out. Gives a little bit more room for the torso to come down. And then we'll settle in, targeting the left hip flexors and getting into the right hamstrings. Tuning into the breath, knowing that it's normal for the mind to wander, especially when sensations can be very intense. If the right knee is falling out to the side, we'll bring that right knee in, walking the right foot in, coming back up onto the hands, shifting the weight of the hips back, and then gently the right foot and leg comes behind us, letting the hips rock side to side, making any movements that feel right in your body right now to release from that. Movements are slow, gentle. And coming into gecko on the other side. Moving the blanket for the right knee over. Now taking a big step forward with the left foot. Coming down onto the hands or onto blocks. And just checking in with where you're at today. And then if you'd like, you could walk the left foot out a little bit wider. The knee falling to the side. Remembering that the torso doesn't have to be, directly straight here with the mat. You could always walk the torso a little bit over towards the right or the left. And the little movements in the torso in relation to the legs can help you get into different parts of the targeted zones, targeted areas. Making these shapes work for your bones, not worrying about how anyone else looks. Just tuning into what you're feeling. Breath is steady, breath is rhythmic. And slowly coming back up onto the hands, the left foot and leg walk their way in, shifting the hips back so we can gently bring the left leg behind us, letting the hips sway. We'll let the belly drop, looking up, the chest opens up forward. And on the exhale, just letting the spine round, chin in towards the chest. We're going to make our way into caterpillar, a forward fold, coming onto our bums. You might like to have that folded up blanket underneath the pelvis, giving the pelvis a little bit of height. Taking the legs out in front of us. We'll just start with a tall spine, taking a few breaths to reset. And tilting the pelvis forward, hands start to walk along the sides of the legs until you find your edge, and then backing off a little bit, not being too aggressive, not going too deep too quickly. And then letting the spine round. If it's okay for your neck, you could let the chin come in towards the chest. If the backs of the knees feel very sensitive or uncomfortable, you could make fists with your hands, resting them underneath the knees, or rolling up a blanket. So as we tilt the pelvis very forward, we're targeting more of the hamstrings, the backs of the legs. If the pelvis tilts it back a little bit, you're going to notice it takes a little bit of pressure off the hamstrings, but we're rounding more through the spine, making this more about the spine. So the angle of the pelvis is going to help you target different areas of the body that you want to get into today. Relaxing through your face. Relaxing through the eyes, imagining the eyes are so heavy in their sockets. The jaw is soft. Finding ease through the neck and the shoulders. Maybe finding some ease in the mind. next inhale, we'll slowly start to roll up through the spine. Letting the head and the shoulders stack over the pelvis. Leaning back onto the hands, we'll bend the knees and then just let the knees fall from side to side. We're going to come onto all fours. You might like to take your blanket near the front of your mat. Same with your blocks. So from all fours, we're going to take our right knee in towards the right wrist, and the left foot and leg inches behind us. Tuning into what's going on with the right knee. If there's any pain or maybe you're nursing an injury there today, you can come onto your back and take a figure 4. And we'll start to walk the torso down, coming onto the forearms. A blanket could be placed underneath the right hip. You could let the torso come all the way down onto the floor, resting your forehead on the hands, the mat. And again, the torso doesn't have to be directly in line with the legs. You could play with moving torso from the left to the right. As we get into the right IT band, glutes, the lower back, relaxing the entire lower body. You could let your forehead come on to a block. over the next few breaths, we'll slowly release from here. A nice release could be tucking the back toe and pressing up into a downward dog. Pedaling out the feet, the legs, and the hips sway. Releasing through the neck. You might even like to open and close the jaw a few times, releasing further tension from the jaw and the neck. And in your own time, we'll come back down onto all fours. Setting up for your version of sleeping swan on the left side. Left knee towards the left wrist. Right toes, legs walk back. Considering support underneath the left hip. Respecting the differences between each side of our body. The difference from each practice day to day. So knowing that each side of the body, when we come into this pose, can look very different. And the hips are the largest joints in the body. So in yin yoga, we're definitely targeting the joints and all of the connective tissue and fascia that make up the joint. So it's normal to feel a lot of sensation in sleeping swan. So imagine that you could send your breath all the way down into the left hip. The breath creating space and ease. Just noticing how the mind reacts to these shapes that might make you a little bit uncomfortable. Just riding this wave of breath, knowing that the shapes will change, the sensations will change, and of course all of the thoughts and emotions that come up will change. Let's release from this side, making movements that feel right in your body right now. And we'll eventually make our way into a wide-legged child's pose. The knees are wide, the toes, big toes come together. And walking the hands and arms out in front, hips sink back, forehead comes down onto a block or the mat. The belly is soft. Imagining all of your internal organs just hanging free, hanging loose. We're targeting the inner thighs, the spine. And you're welcome to stay right here, or if you'd like to also get into the shoulders and the upper back, we'll draw the torso up and then reaching the right hand and arm underneath the left, and then resting on the right shoulder. And then we'll switch the arms. Right arm reaches out, left hand, left arm reaching out to the right, landing on the shoulder, side of the head. Now slowly, we're going to come out of this. Hands walk in towards the body. We'll shift the weight of the hips to one side. And we're going to come down into a supported fish. So if you have 2 blocks, you could use that. And it would look like the shape of a T. So 1 block at the back of the mat for your head, and then the other one for the upper back. You could always use your blanket and roll that up so it's long, rolling that up so you've got a bit of a makeshift bolster. You could use that instead. So coming down onto the rolled up blanket or the blocks. You can take a little bit to find the sweet spots for this one, especially with the blocks. So wiggling around. And the arms come out into a T. Or opening through the chest, through the pecs. Opening through the heart. This is a back bend for the spine. Noticing how the belly rises on the inhale, falls on the exhale. Relaxing a little bit more. And we'll bring our hands just to our sides, near our bum, and then pressing up onto the elbows and forearms, lifting all the way up. We're going to come down onto our backs. So just moving your props to this side. We'll bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet in towards the bum, letting the arms come out into a T or a cactus shape. Letting the knees fall stacked to the left. You could always take the top leg, the right leg, and wrap it around the left. That's going to create a little bit more sensation through the outer right IT band and glute. You can let the head fall to one side. Massaging all of the internal organs. Releasing tension through the spine. Head comes back to center. We'll draw the legs back to center. I'm just hugging the knees in. Little squeeze. And roll out the ankles, point and flex the toes. Feet come back down onto the floor. And we'll take this twist to the right. If you need a blanket or blocks underneath or between the knees, please go for it. Just relishing in the quiet. How wonderful is it that we've switched from doing and going and achieving to just being. Cultivating a sense of calm and ease. so that when things in life get hectic or uncomfortable, that we've done the practice now, so that in those difficult situations we know how to tune into the breath, become less reactive. Now let's bring everything back to center. Making any final movements that you would like before we move into our final resting shape, corpse pose. If the lower back is sensitive, it can be nice to have a rolled up blanket underneath the knees. And like we started the practice, just letting the entire body splay out on the earth. No better way to feel grounded than to get low to the ground. Just allowing everything to relax. Everything to unwind and settle. The body, mind, and breath resting in ease. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, rolling through the ankles and the wrists, the back of the head, gently rock side to side. We'll bend the knees, rolling onto one side. And we'll press our way all the way up. Coming to a comfortable seat, rolling the shoulders a few times. And sitting with a really tall spine, we'll take our hands to our heart, closing the eyes, humbling the chin. And it's been a joy for me to share the last 7 days with you. And, I really hope that your curiosity continues to grow when it comes to your own bones, your own anatomy, and how you can make each yoga practice work for you and your body. Namaste.